I purchased a property worth 160k using a credit card. You read it right. You heard it right as well. I'm not suggesting anyone do this, but I wanted to share with you what I was told and had been told on many property training courses that I've taken. I had a MBA credit card at the time. My limit was £1,250. I was told that I could actually transfer the balance of my credit card onto my current account and then use the funds to do what I want. Buy a new car, new kitchen, some home improvements, or buy a property. I called MBNA and asked them for a credit increase, and they asked me how much. I said 30k. I thought there was no way that this was going to work, but days later I received a text that said my request was approved. I was gobsmacked. I was so happy and excited on one hand, but on the other hand, why didn't I ask for more? With the money, I purchased this 2-bedroom property in Bedford for $97,500 to create a 3-bedroom house through doing a renovation. The numbers went around $118,750 for the total cost. After 6 months, we refinanced onto a buy-to-let mortgage. Property was valued at 160k. Return on investment was infinite because I didn't actually have any money tied up in this property. On the refinance of the property, I was able to pay back the money that I owed on the credit card and pay that off. Yes, I ended up with a property worth 160k in essence for nothing. But what an experience, right? I want to hear your thoughts on this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Stick it in the comments. What do you think around doing this? So this is definitely a no money down strategy. So this was using a credit card to purchase a property, you know. And I remember stumbling across these no money down strategies when I first started investing. I come across a guy called AJ at the time, and he talked about these different no money down strategies, using the bank's money, other people's money. And I remember I had this very similar scenario. And again, I'm not suggesting you do this. By the way, I'm going to put this out there first. A little disclaimer on this. You are not allowed to use credit cards or bank's money to purchase properties. I've noticed in the comments there's quite a few people like kind of a bit, well, you shouldn't have really done that. One of the comments is treading a fine line. If a lender wouldn't lend if they knew the situation, the broker failed to clarify, or the lender failed to clarify, doesn't clear someone to do something that would be against the lender's policy. That's a slippery slope. But for me, like, I get what he's saying there, but for me, I think in business sometimes there's grey areas, there's black and there's white areas. I think this sits in the grey area, because if you can afford that credit card, what is to stop you from spending that? If you've got the affordability, so the banks do their credit searches on you to check your affordability to borrow 30k, and if you've got the affordability to pay that back, if you went out and bought a new kitchen, or you went out and spent it on a holiday, you just got a debt that you've got to keep on working to pay back. He's gone out and used it for an asset that's going to pay back that debt. Has paid back that debt now because he's paid that debt off, and he's still got the asset. So for me, although you're not meant to use it for business, and one of the main reasons the banks don't like you using this for business is because if it's for a business purpose, they have to do a business application and check the viability of the business, blah, blah, blah. But to be fair, if you can afford that yourself, I think that's a grey area, and I think it's a grey area that I was comfortable to move into. As I said, I had a very similar scenario. So the bank phoned me up. This is a long time ago. It is much more difficult today. The paper trail of that, asking where their money come from, is a lot more difficult. But I remember the bank phoning me up and saying to me, back then the lenders wasn't so bad like the mortgage lenders, but it was more the lender that was lending me this loan. But the bank phoned me up one day and said, look, we've got a loan for you for 25k. Would you like the loan? I was like, yeah. What would you like the loan for? I would like it for my portfolio, I said. I was all excited. I remember reading this by a guy called AJ at the time. Back then, this was sort of around 2010-ish sort of time. Back then, there wasn't the availability to information like there is today. I'd only just got my first internet, and I come across a guy, as I said, called AJ, that was saying about using overdrafts, bank loans, and all these different strategies to raise finance to pay for deposits, and then do the refurbishment, refinance to pay back the loans that you've got. So when the bank phoned me up, I was like, wow, super excited, said, yeah, I'm going to use it for this reason. The guy on the phone went to me, you're not allowed to use this for business purposes. If you'd have said it was for a car, if you said it's for a kitchen, we could have loaned you the money. But since you said it's for a property, I can't, and these calls are recorded, so I can't even give you it even if you say it's for a kitchen now. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I wasn't expecting the call anyway, so I wasn't too disappointed because I wasn't expecting it. But then he went to me, but I can call you back. And I knew exactly what he meant. So I hung the phone up, and within a second, he's called me back. Ring, bank here, we've got a loan for you. Would you like it? Yes. What would you like it for? I want to buy a new car. How much would you like? 25k. Money was in the bank at the end of that day. By the end of that week, I had an offer accepted on a BRR property, and done that BRR deal. I pulled some money out. I did need to top some money up from the 25k, just to be clear on it, so it wasn't all the bank's money, but I had to a little bit top of money up. I done a BRR. With the remaining money, I bought another property. I refinanced that, bought another property, refinanced that, bought another property. I think I'm on number 5 or property 6 out of that loan. I've had to top them up along the way, but not significantly. So I've got about six properties, one of them being a HMO as well. So I've got a significant monthly cash flow off the back of that one loan. That loan's paid back at the moment. So I don't encourage people to do this, by the way, but I get where Ravinder, I hope I said that correct, is coming from. It is definitely a calculated risk. You are treading in grey areas, but I think if you was trying to loan that money and you was solely relying on, because I see somebody else in the comments as well say, it's only my view, you can shoot me down for this or you can agree with this, but if you were solely relying on this money to be like on a refinance, to pay this money back, then that's wrong. If you think, well, okay, I'm going into this, I'm never going to be able to pay this back, and the only way I can pay this back is if I refinance this money out to pay it back, then that's wrong. But if you know you can pay this no matter what, I don't think if you've got a personal loan, you should be able to use it whatever way you wish, as long as you can afford to pay it, and as long as the reason you're using it is not, like, as long as you're not relying on the reason why you're using it to be able to pay that back. That's just my views. Love to hear your views in the comments. Do you think this is right? Do you think this is wrong? Do you think this is unethical? In my view, when you step into the grey area in business, there's loads of grey areas in business, and it's very difficult to just step in the white or the black sort of area, or it's very easy to step in the black, but it's very difficult not to drift a little bit from time to time, because there's lots of things you have to do as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, to drive forward. Even the likes of Richard Branson, like going and doing his VAT thing and driving through to France. You have to take calculated risks sometimes. And in my mind, if I can put my head on the pillow at night time and feel like I'm not doing nothing morally wrong, as I said, for me, the reason I don't think it's morally wrong is because I wouldn't rely on the income or the earnings from this to pay that loan back. So I don't think, if you can afford it yourself, I don't think there is anything wrong with that. But I'd love to hear your views. Put in the comments, do you think that is, you think it's okay? Do you think it's wrong? I'm not encouraging you to do it. You're not allowed to do that, by the way. As I said, little disclaimer there. I believe if you loan that money on a personal basis with the only way you can pay that back is if this deal works, then I think that's wrong, because not every deal will work, not every deal will get valued up. So I think you shouldn't do it that way. But if you can afford it, you should be able to use it for whatever. In fact, I would argue to say using it for a holiday and things like this, which is just squandering it, is probably a worse use for the money. So although it's theoretically against the rules, I think it was a good position. He's made himself much more better for the banks with his 30 grand credit limit. He's got property paying him an income, so if he ever uses that limit again, not for a purpose like that, he's definitely got more of a chance of paying them back. So I feel he's done the bank a favour. But the thing is, you put your money in the bank, and the bank use your every pound you put in the bank can lend out £10, and they can use your money. If everybody turned up into the bank tomorrow and said I wanted my money back out, they couldn't honour that. They can't give everybody back their money because they've loaned it out. They've got the right to lend and use your money while it's in there. So they can use your money for whatever which way they want, your hard-earned savings. It's then if they give you some money or their money, you can't use it any which way you want. You can't use it to earn money, you know. So yeah, I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's immorally wrong. Obviously, you are taking a calculated risk doing it, but I still feel that risk, if you're done correctly, can be well calculated. Don't get me wrong, it's much harder today, though, because a lot of banks do want to know where that money's come from. But please stick in the comments. If you're watching this and get value from this, please like and share. This really helps algorithms out. But remember, if you don't evolve your ideas, you never live on your own terms. So evolve your ideas, live on your own terms, and have an amazing Saturday evening.